invite you to rejoin us in the morning as we resume our regular telecasting schedule. Until then,
we wish you a pleasant good night.
Good evening, folks. I am your host, Dillon. This is my co-host, Annie. And
Hello,
it's
everyone.
Friday night. We are two nerds without dates. And maybe me talking over you has something to do without me having a date here on Friday night.
Hey, maybe I talk too much. I don't know. I had a date this week, and right afterwards, I've pretty much been ghosted ever since then. Checked Discord today, and no longer friends with them. So I'm gonna take the hint that I'm not getting a second date.
The blocking pretty much puts a finality on that. I have been ghosted, but we have not been unmatched by one lady I'm particularly attracted to. I still have two that I'm somewhat talking to. The two remaining, the one that isn't a current ghost, one of them I'm not particularly attracted to begin with. So it's like maybe I should stop reaching out and trying, since like physically it's not particularly there. The other one I was supposed to have a coffee date with this morning had to cancel because her kid was sick, and
It's always tricky with kids. I don't typically
yeah,
date
I don't
people
have
with
kids.
kids.
Same
But
here.
that's not because I don't want to or anything like that. It doesn't seem to work out.
I'm just not interested in kids myself. If I find someone I'm really interested in that has kids, so be it. But yeah, this one didn't have the coffee date. I was like, well, let's just skip the coffee. So I had a series of naps today rather than doing much of anything. So hopefully I've got the energy to get through these 3 episodes of Futurama. It can take our mind off the disappointment of being ghosted by dates we thought went well, dates we thought would go well, and someone who's just kind of there.
Well, at least Futurama's there for us.
And I was really happy with this batch of episodes. One of the 3, I came out of it thinking this is top 10. They have got over 100 episodes, possibly over 200 by the time they're done with Hulu. And Hermes, when I mentioned doing a character specific, Hermes was the one you first brought up. He has a lot of fun lines. Just simply thinking of him scream, "My manwich." Well, probably a simple read. Phil Lamar actually. A little behind the scenes, he was the second Hermes. There was someone cast
Really?
to play Hermes, and in doing the test, they were the producers and Matt Groening. Everyone was like, "This isn't exactly working out." So Phil Lamar was brought on. He almost lost the spot. I think he said it was he himself who suggested, "What if Hermes was Jamaican?" And that little twist was like, yeah, this is what really helps Hermes shine, is making him Jamaican. And oh boy, do they really hammer home the limbo jokes. I think we had 2 or 3 last week on the Kubert episode with the Jamaican jokes from Hermes. And these episodes, 2 specifically Hermes, one very much like the Kubert episode. I remember
It becomes a Bender episode.
Yeah, I remembered it being a Hermes episode. Hermes just lays the groundwork for Bender to take over because he is such a strong character. Once you start writing for the robot, you don't want to write for anyone else.
And that episode specifically is just really good because it's a trans episode, so it's got its own message in it or whatever, which they play on. They joke on the message the entire time, which I appreciated. The entire time, Bender is making fun of it.
Yeah, Bender goes into it very much like I think of that Olympic runner 1 year coming in dead last, and then the next series of events, he's a woman and just beating everyone. I'm like, that's someone. I'm very sensitive to people who I legit believe, but like that person and like Chris Chan, people who use the she her with Chris Chan, he was pretending to be a Sonichu for multiple years. I don't think it's helping your cause to say, yes, this person who is pretending to be a Sonichu, let's respect them. And now that he's pretending to be another gender, it doesn't, if you're not coming from an honest place, as Bender wasn't, it's just a mockery.
Absolutely. But to get back into Hermes specifically, Hermes is kind of a two-note character, despite the fact that he's very versatile and plays a lot more of a role in the show than his episode specifically would kind of lead into. Hermes is Jamaican, and limbo is a big part of his shtick. But the other big part of his shtick is that he's a bureaucrat. He loves being organized and doing the paperwork and filing everything. And that's what he does for the Planet Express Corporation, or company, I guess, because they're
the resident bureaucrat. That is his title. They have a doctor on staff and they have a bureaucrat on staff.
To do all the stuff that Farnsworth, like all the actual business stuff.
That he's too busy just being a crazy old man to do. And luckily, you gave that explanation before we got Fry's explanation, because I don't believe this is exactly right.
I spent all day putting my office in order. Now I got to go home and relax the traditional Jamaican way. A glass of warm milk and a good night's sleep.
Jamaican? I thought you were some kind of outer space potato man.
Nope, not a potato man, Fry. Sounds a little different than potato men as we know them.
A little bit. But hey, if he was a potato man, he would also be beloved.
So getting a good idea of what he's supposed to look like, just a very round former limbo athlete, not a current limbo athlete. The bureaucrat jokes, I think you put this in two different clips. I just kept this as one clip. The just monotonous, needless detail that goes into the bureaucrat job that Hermes has.
And now for the finishing touch.
He just got finished. All this stack of paper. This is what he was doing the entire day, and stapling them all together. The final touch.
Well, what's the most important part is the 5 stamps. You cannot forget about the 5 stamps.
Oh, yes. This actually was a small detail, a little throwaway that they brought back at the end of the episode. They established right here that I was trying to cut this a little short. It was running a little long, that 5 stamps on every single one of these that he is now putting to its final process, this day's work
of just pulping it and just making a brand new stack for it to be printed tomorrow.
The cycle of bureaucracy. Sweet gorilla of Manila, a letter from the central bureaucracy. Attention, Hermes Conrad. You are about to receive a letter from the central bureaucracy. My God, it's from the central bureaucracy.
I love that those jokes littered in with just how meaningless his job can be, and eventually they do come around, showing in each of these episodes that the organization that this bureaucrat has does have its place. But those little needless things that he goes through, I absolutely adore all those gags.
I love, just the monotony and just the redundancy of the bureaucracy. It gives you a warning. Hey, you're about to get a mail from us. Well, why didn't I get a mail letting me know I was about to get a mail about the mail? Then it would just be an endless chain. So, somebody had to step in line at some point. And you know what? That bureaucrat is probably a legend.
There was one joke a little later, too. He comes and he opens up the Planet Express. But as a bureaucrat, there's one extra step.
Opening soon. Now we're open. Just in case somebody came up and they watched him walk in, they're like, oh, you're open. Nope, hold on. Opening soon. Now we're open.
This isn't accurate yet that we are open. We do need to set this straight for all the people who may come thinking we're open. We're almost open, folks. So this episode, we get Leela's co-workers. I found very fun, and unfortunately, we don't get too much of them in the future. They're coming for a poker game. Her old boss, just very to the point.
Hello, Leela. You're fired.
I know.
I'm sorry, but it's just that you're over a year late for work at this point.
Let the game
It's a good point.
And that's just how he talks. We were introduced to him, and he is very theatric at his job. Welcome to the future. And he
To
does
the
it a
world
few
of
times.
tomorrow.
The world of tomorrow. And he does it a few times in that episode. That's just who he is. I don't know if you have any clips, but they're gonna have fun and end up trashing Hermes' office.
No, for the most part, I just pulled the clips focusing around Hermes. Bender and them, they start playing the poker game, and Bender ends up cheating in the poker game because he's wearing X-ray specs, which he claims are his lucky specs, which he stole off of a lucky guy while doing some lucky thing. So therefore, they're really lucky. Meanwhile, he's just cheating the entire game. So eventually they catch on to it.
Not like Red Fox. There was an episode of Sanford and Son where Red Fox did get away with it the entire night. Bender eventually said a little too much, and Hermes, he had an inspection that next day, and
Shall we begin the inspection?
didn't go as well as he was hoping because, yeah, a robot got his ass kicked by a group of people who he just swindled.
This way, please.
Geez, Hermes, you seem awfully calm about this.
Don't worry. I have a plan. I'm going to jump!
Oh! Do a flip!
I love the do a flip line.
Lovable Bender, very sensitive to his worker. Well, that's how Bender was introduced, was the suicide booth. And
Right, absolutely. So it's just a recurring thing in his character. And in fact, in the third episode that we'll touch on with Hermes is also a Bender-ish episode, and he ends up trying to kill himself in that episode. So it's a very Bender-centric plot, is him trying to kill himself and really just kind of being unable to. In fact, in Bender's big score, I believe, he blows up and he says, geez, what does it take to kill me?
Yeah, we watched that clip recently where he just exploded with a doomsday device inside of him. And what does it take to kill me? It would take John DiMaggio not signing on for another season to kill Bender. That's the only thing. You can't recast him. There's no one else with that voice.
So the bureaucrat comes in, and Hermes unfortunately does fail his inspection, and they go to a meeting where the lady, well, it's not really a meeting. She just is kind of telling him, you are no longer going to be the bureaucrat around here. And unfortunately gives him one of the worst punishments Hermes could think of.
Yes, that is... What is the title of that one? I will get better at this, folks.
It is vacation is the worst kind of threat.
That is the worst thing that you can do for a bureaucrat like Hermes. Little thing. Well, let me get to this one I have on hand while I get better at organizing my clips. A little preview of where they do send our buddy Hermes.
And 2 and 3 and 4 and come on, work those arms.
This is no spa, it's a forced labor camp.
Curse that Dr. Zoidberg. If I get out of here, he'll be looking down the business end of a shrimp fork.
Give him one for me too, mate. I don't know why I go to him.
Here's the one we were looking for.
Sweet something of someplace.
As your superior, I hereby relieve you of duty. Consider yourself on paid vacation.
Oh, the ultimate penalty.
So the ultimate penalty does actually turn out to be a real penalty at this slave camp.
Yeah, because Zoidberg just happens to be right there because Zoidberg is always just loitering around. Zoidberg hands La Barbara a pamphlet and is like, go to this spa planet. They give me a great kickback every time I send a patient there.
The Hermes kickback is a bucket of krill.
A bucket of krill.
That is very Zoidberg appropriate. Little did they know, even that's too much for Zoidberg. They could have given him a shoe to eat, and he would have been very happy.
They could have given him a letter saying thank you.
My friends, I finally have friends.
So now this new bureaucrat takes over while Hermes is on vacation, and she kind of puts a stop to basically everything in the office. She complains people's deliveries are going too slow. She's going through people's lockers, and she pulls up Fry's locker, and Fry's locker is just an absolute disgusting mess.
This is something that Fry, they ask, what is this, high school? And go to this locker inspection. Fry's, I cut immediately through here.
I've never seen anything like this. Why is there yogurt in this cap?
I can explain that. See, it used to be milk, and, well, time makes fools of us all.
You are all dismissed. Fry, I will speak to you alone.
Wait, this is the other Fry's locker. I'm Fry with a PH.
Admit it, Fry. You're a slob. A dirty, filthy slob. Dirty boy. Dirty.
And that's her plot line for the rest of the episode, is that she has never seen such a slob like Fry in her entire life. She is so used to being around so many Hermes who are very organized, very clean people. So for the rest of the time, she's just a filthy, dirty pervert, is her character for the rest of the episode.
Yep, her character just turns immediately, and all she wants to do is jump the bones of Fry. And she even shows up to his house at like 3 a.m. and tries to hook up with him.
Fry got on her mind, and she needed Fry himself.
It's 3 a.m.
I know. A skunk knocked over my garbage, and suddenly all I could think of was you. My God, it's so repulsive. So, this is where you eat?
Eat and sleep.
Oh, Fry.
That little extra gag of the milk jug just continuing to pour out, and the owl in the spider web. Anytime you forget that owls are the rats of the future, they throw in a little visual gag for you.
So while this is going on, Morgan is just kind of sending everyone on just different bitch errands to keep Fry all to herself. She promotes Fry to executive delivery boy, and he doesn't have to do deliveries anymore. And then everyone else is just doing mundane, terrible tasks for the professor. Meanwhile, on that spa planet, Hermes spots that, things aren't necessarily going the way they should, and he tries to make everything better because that's his just natural bureaucrat instincts kicking in. He sees a problem and he just thinks, oh well, I think I can
go
solve
out
this.
full, but they come in empty.
Yeah, here he's the bureaucrat in him starts coming out as he's on this prison planet, seeing how this prison planet can be run much better.
Pots go out full, but they come in empty. It's criminally inefficient. Don't you see? They could increase efficiency 4% if they use the empty cots to bring in heavy mining machinery.
So that guy is just complaining because, he has to do all this work now that Hermes is making him do, well, more work. He says, pushing the empty carts is like the closest thing we can get to sleep around here. And Hermes is like, screw that. Do harder work.
You immediately see his actions torturing people. Such a great read of that grunt. I'm not exactly sure which voice actor that is. We hear a lot from Phil Lamar in a few roles. That might have been David Herman. He's their utility player. Like, he doesn't play any of the main characters, but David Herman, he plays. We'll get to the murder robots a little later. I had to pull all of those in the last one, but still on this one. We finally, there's a big showdown at the central bureaucracy. The professor gives us a stern warning about the central bureaucracy that he's heard.
You can't just waltz into the central bureaucracy. It's a tangled web of red tape and regulations. I've never been, but a friend of mine went completely mad just trying to find the washroom there.
Then we'll need a guide, someone who's been there before.
Oh, I've been there lots of times.
Just well aware of his own dementia as he goes on.
And the reason that they have to go back, or they have to go to the central bureaucracy, is because Bender walks in right after Morgan and Fry are hooking up in the clip we played a couple times ago. And then Bender meets with Morgan and Fry, and Morgan takes Bender's like memories, his whole brain out, and sends it to the central bureaucracy. And that's why Fry, Leela, and all of them have to go and try to get Bender's brain back.
Yeah, that's what leads to that big showdown coming up at the central bureaucracy. Here I have Fry flipping out that Bender will no longer be Bender thanks to his kinky affair.
Hey, what did you do to him?
I downloaded his brain. Everything that is Bender is right here. His mind, his memories, his in-your-face interface.
I am Bender. Please insert girder.
But Bender need brain for smart making. What did you do now? Stop doing things!
I sent the disk to be filed at the central bureaucracy.
Smart making. Just as Fry's brain lacking a delta wave. Those Futurama fans know exactly what I'm talking about. And
Absolutely.
Time Rider, the movie, the Time movie Time Rider has the same ending as that happened in Roswell. That was so fun watching a movie trying to be serious with this twist that a man is his own grandfather.
Yeah, it's pretty comical, but I mean, it's a grandfather paradox for a reason.
Watch Time Rider to see them play that gag as an actual serious plot point. Here we are at the central bureaucracy, the long line that they need to figure out how to get to the front of. And once again, another fun just bureaucracy gag. Their license is still pending, even though they were established nearly 900 years ago.
Man, how long is this gonna take?
I'm still waiting on my birth certificate.
And what's fun is a lot of these people that we see here do make a return in, I believe it's like 5-6 years later, the third episode that we'll be reviewing. You pulled another one of the bureaucrats.
Please don't tell my supervisor I was sleeping.
I like that gag because Bender bumps into him, and you think he's like some sort of alarm or like some sort of guard creature or whatever. And he just
looks like an NES character, like he's going to eat you. He might be based on an SNES character. That's what I think of when I see him, of someone that is going to blast me with their lasers for being in here. But nope, he's just another bureaucrat that's sleeping on the job.
So now everyone is kind of converging on the central bureaucracy because they're trying to get Bender's brain back. And it just so happens that Hermes shows up because he made everything on that planet so efficient that now everything is done just by that one Australian guy that was in the clips. So him and LaBarbara show up and they meet up with Bureaucrat 1.0 because every bureaucrat has a ranking between 1 and whatever number is the highest they assigned.
19 was our kinky lady. Hermes was 30 something. He's in the mid 30s.
36, and then he ends at 38, and then gets promoted, so 37.
That's funny that it's just right there, but he does end with a slight demotion after being promoted again.
So Hermes tries to intervene to file to get Bender's brain back, and he starts to try to quote regulations to Agent 1.0, and he's not having any of it. The clip is...
Hermes
this book
Song?
sounds like a blast.
Oh, that book. Yes, this book does sound like a lot of fun. This is 1.0, showing he is someone not to be messed with.
Don't quote me, regulations. I co-chaired the committee that reviewed the recommendation to revise the color of the book that regulation's in. We kept it gray.
So Hermes petitions with 1.0, and 1.0 says, fine, you have to sort the entire master in pile, which throughout the episode we've seen is almost, 5, 6, 7 stories tall. So Hermes says, "Oh, I can do that, no problem." But Leela points out, "Oh no, you're gonna have to do this in 4 minutes." So Hermes requisitions a beat, as is part of his character. One of maybe like the third note. Hermes is really good at music, and he likes to put things into musical. Another Bender's big score. He got hooked up to the mainframe and starts humming the Futurama theme while everyone is organized. So music is a big part of his character as well.
And smoking pot.
Well, yeah, but they can't officially just come out and say that, really.
They talk all around how he likes to smoke pot. But all the just cliche. Once they decided he was Jamaican, it's like, well, let's just make him a cliche with everything we can think of. It doesn't look like they did any research, just what they know offhand.
Right, and so they make him this like Jamaican-esque song. I cut it up here to just kind of focus on the jokes and to reduce us getting struck.
I cried all night, it blew my alphabet blocks out of order. And they say, this boy's born to be a bureaucrat, born to be all obsessive and snotty. I made my friends and relations file long applications to get into my 10th birthday party. Cause we treat people like swine and make them stand in line, even if nobody paid us.
They
Sounds like
poo-pooed my
Shuli.
electric frankfurter.
I am Bender, please insert girder.
I love just how much they shit on the bureaucrats, and they do at times just redeem. Yeah, they're great in organization. He is great at his job because he does get that done. He inserts Bender's brain back into his body, and as you said, gets let go with only a slight demotion. As well, punishes number 19. He finds in that big stack of in-files from years and years ago, she only stamped a paper 4 times.
And she was young, she was reckless. It was a regulation date form for her to go to prom. And I have a clip called Regulation Disappointment where she comments on it.
It was a regulation date that ended in regulation disappointment.
I feel like we can both relate to that a little bit.
Yeah, yes, I can. You a little more than me because you had the regulation date and the regulation disappointment. I had some regulation ghosting and a regulation sick kid on her end that caused the regulation disappointment. And I like the title of your last clip here because Hermes is coming back with severely reduced pay, but thank goodness there is more to spread to everybody.
You're good at man. In fact, severely reduced pay all around.
Right before that, Morgan tried to do some like last minute sabotaging of the company right before she was let go. And she fired Fry and then was about to like do some other things. And then Hermes came in with the, wait, nope, you can't do this because you're not a good bureaucrat. Boom. Number 1.0 calls for some guards and they come up to like grab her. And then he says, bring me the forms that I need to have her taken away. And then he just flies away. And then the guards just stand there. Nobody does anything because, you know, they need all the paperwork to make sure. Because he's not getting in trouble for physical contact. Of course not. No.
Yeah, we need to go through the right channels or else this could be very litigious. That's why we have a bureaucrat to keep away from having to call that lawyer on retainer. We really don't see the professor's lawyer on retainer. You know he has one.
Oh, he's probably got crazy lawyers.
We just have to imagine that it's a relative of Lionel Hutz, since we never saw him. And Zap Brannigan actually was going to be Phil Hartman until death happened. And Billy West ended up just doing his Phil Hartman impression for Zap Brannigan.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of voice changing around in pre-production. That was Phil Hartman's role. So like either David Herman or Phil Lamar might not have made it to the regular cast had Phil Hartman come on, because he's another person who's just man of 1,000 voices. It would probably be like maybe he would be a guest star, but like Maurice LaMarche, he's another just very well-rounded voice actor who does so many different variations of voices that they have it on one of the DVDs, I think, of here's the actor and here's the 37 characters that they do.
Yeah. The behind the scenes for the show are just so fascinating to me, and I wish I had the DVDs so I could like watch like the extra content and things that are on the DVDs.
Actually, there's probably a big thing you missed from the DVDs. I think it was the second DVD movie where they released the lost episode. Have you heard of the Futurama lost episode?
No, I don't think so.
The video game, the PS2 video game, was basically like an episode of Futurama. They had cutscenes that were fully animated. So on one of the movies, they have all the cutscenes intermixed with the gameplay and they call it the lost episode, the PS2 video game with cutscenes and a little playthrough along with it. I'm pretty sure it was the second DVD, The Beast with a Billion Backs, that one is on. And yeah, currently not up on Hulu. So if you don't have that DVD, you cannot see the lost episode.
It's probably on the internet somewhere. I'll see if I can do some sleuthing.
I did find it on the internet at some point. Hopefully it's still up there, but because I didn't buy that second DVD. I just bought the first DVD, and I definitely saw that lost episode at some point. But one episode that wasn't lost, and more controversial now, even than at the time, was Bend Her, which I really thought was a Hermes episode. But Hermes takes up the first act, and then make way for Bender, baby.
I think after Bender takes over, Hermes only makes maybe 2 appearances left in the episode. When I was clipping it, I was mostly just fast forward, because I could talk about the plot of the episode, but it's not really involving Hermes. So unless you have clips for that, I don't have any clips for well, not no clips. I have very little clips for the B plot, which is Bender becoming Coilette. So let's move on to the next episode, which is Bend Her. The episode starts with Hermes going to a Olympic event to Limbo. He was called by his old Jamaican buddies because they needed him to sub in. Well, I mean, why would he want Hermes to sub in?
Basically all.
Yeah, Hermes. We see the shape Hermes in. Fry thought he was a potato and not just a potato filter.
Yeah, and Amy comments why he would even need to do this because, isn't that all Jamaicans do? Is like limbo and chill?
Yeah, isn't that basically all Jamaicans do?
Jamaicans have other interests, which is why the limbo team got detained at the airport.
Talking around that we all like to smoke pot, us Jamaicans, as they have with Hermes littered throughout there. So he's in horrible shape, but he's all they have. He was their athlete years ago, and they're seeing him for the first time.
And you know what?
I wants to know.
In Hermes' defense, I think this is an episode or like season 6 or something like that. So Hermes has had plenty of screen time up until now and has proven to everyone in this room doubting him that this man has some limbo skills.
He got stuck under the oven in the clips we were showing last week.
Yeah, right. He limboed underneath the oven like a little cockroach. So this man can limbo when he needs to.
Have they seen your, physique since the old days?
I described it to them on the phone, using a series of artful euphemisms.
So now seeing it actually in person, luckily the professor is helping out. He has some crazy invention, just like he always has when the plot calls for it.
Oh, that's snug. Oh, those haven't descended in years.
Now that's a limboer's body.
It's a Flabomatic dynamic spandex suit or something like that. And what it's supposed to do is adjust all of Hermes' weight towards his knees so he can limbo better. I don't know the science or behind, any of the biology behind that, but
it claimed that his center of gravity will be at his knees. So it helps distribute everything and will help him limbo even better. So he will finally get back at his main rival, Barbados Slim, who, as I said, I thought Barbados Slim and Hermes had so much more in this episode, but it's just other episodes that they just pop them into to be like.
Right, Barbados comes up almost any time that Hermes needs like an antagonist. It's just Barbados just coming up to ruin his shit.
So that's what I was just conflating it with, of other episodes where it's like, all right, someone needs to be a pain in Hermes' ass. Oh, it's Barbados. Of course, it's going to be Barbados Slim.
Your body may be as perfectly sculpted as it was 20 years ago when you whooped my fat ass every time we met. But today, I feel lucky.
I like how this suit even shapes his hair.
The gravity is now off, and all right, now we are aerodynamic again. So you have this next clip shows that you have title. I believe it shows if Hermes did indeed get lucky on this day.
Oh, there, Hermes. You did your best. If I'd wanted a human Adonis for a husband, I'd have stayed married to Barbados Slim.
I should have pulled a little bit earlier in the clip. You can see Hermes' exposed belly. His fat blew out the suit.
Conrad pulls ahead.
Yeah, I have a little bit longer of the clip. The final moment.
Yep.
The fat exerted too much.
Disqualified. Barbados Slim, my hero, takes the gold.
My hero.
I love during that whole run, the announcer starts out and he's Barbados. Yeah, I love Barbados. And then the second Hermes takes a little bit of a lead, he's like, Hermes has limboed out of retirement and straight into my heart. And then as soon as Barbados takes the lead, he's like, screw you, Hermes. I loved you the whole time.
Very nice being impartial there. But that is the whole gag of this just being a complete farce. They have it at the beginning of the episode of just how well of a network, what the quality of a network this is being shown on.
Welcome to the games of the 3004 Earth Olympiad, continuing this network's tradition of sportscasting excellence. Celebrity Ape Fight will return next week at its regular time.
Celebrity Ape Fight, don't worry, it's not canceled. It's still on the air. We just have Devil's Island and the Nation of Joe. He is going to be very tired by the end of this. He is in all of the events. Someone also that gets himself into the events is Bender. We see him strawmarring his way into the Olympics under the farce that he is a woman. He sees for a moment that I could compete in this. Actually, I should play that one first. I have that one as well.
Something tells me I could easily beat those trained professionals.
So then a big buff robot gets dropped, an unbendable girder, and then a second unbendable girder, and bends them with ease.
Wow, that guy must be like the world's greatest bender. My dreams of glory died before they began.
Welcome to my life.
I had to keep that extra little Zoidberg clip in there.
I have a clip right after that called Funny Bender Quote, where Bender is upset because his dreams have been crushed already.
So embarrassed. I wish everybody else was dead.
He just goes very much to the extreme. So he sees the female athletes, decides he's going to impersonate someone named Coilette. Well, not impersonate. He's making up this Coilette person from Rabonia. And initially, they won't let him in. And just a little strong arming does the trick.
Ever been beaten up by a guy dressed like a chick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outright admitting I'm really a guy dressed like a chick, and just leave me alone. Don't let that happen again. Bender goes all in with this. They're going to take away his gold medals unless
he can prove that he's a female robot.
Yeah, the gender check. The professor, just for reasons, decides he's going to help him out.
Well, the
process
professor
of reshaping Bender's
no
body
reasons to do crazy experiments.
Ow! 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 Oh! Hey!
He gave a very flimsy excuse at some point. So there he is, taking his delicate process of molding Bender's body into a female, and he becomes a celebrity. Starts going on late night shows, and there's just a few audio gags in here that I absolutely love. the audience are robots. So
Mhm.
anytime you have any type of audience, it trails off. Not everyone is stopping at the same moment, except in shitty made movies like the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. We'll get to that one day. I think I need to do a standalone video on that one with post production,
Ooh,
and
okay.
a live stream on the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. I don't think will do it justice. That oh boy, but the little audio, just all the robots stopping at once. This host, HumorBot 5.0, James Corbin wasn't in the position at this point, but when I saw that, I was just like, James Corbin, HumorBot 5.0, because it could go with anyone, any of the just plug-in host here, but I see HumorBot 5.0. I was like, that's James Corbin.
Oh yeah.
What wasn't a joke at him because he didn't have the job at the time, but he fits it better than any of the late night show hosts I've ever seen.
Coilette from Robonia.
So now we can see Bender's full transformation. He's like a sexy
So,
fembot
Coilette,
now.
many young fembots wish to emulate you. Any advice for them?
Yes, HumorBot. If you ask me, women today are too stuck up to go out and jiggle their jello like everybody wants them to. In fact, should I do it now?
On an
All right,
actual crank turn, very much from the Arsenio Hall show. You don't see that much anymore. The hoo. But that was a fun gag to throw into late night show parodies for quite some time. Bender becomes more and more emulating a woman. He just wants to pull off this ruse. Then he ends up dating Calculon and goes all the way. He'll do everything with him, but the as Fry says, Barry White. He comes up with an excuse not to Barry White with him, as Fry calls it, as he becomes more and more of a fembot.
Can a girl enjoy herself without being judged?
We can see Hermes cameo for the
dear,
episode
Her
now.
mood swings are getting wilder. She's becoming a slave to her emotions, just like all women, particularly you, Leela. Oh.
I'm worried about him too, Professor.
Particularly you.
So Bender keeps going with this ruse that he's going to keep dating and actually gets engaged to Calculon. So they're asking Bender, what are you doing? You're going to be a fembot forever. If like there's a ticking clock in this universe of the man bot forever becoming a fembot.
Right.
And
If you do it just too long, it's like there's some irreversible changes.
Bender just keeps extending it. There was his chance to say, no, I won't marry you, Calculon, but he has a plan.
The marriage is a scam.
Cool. What's for dinner?
What do you mean a scam?
I marry Calculon, divorce him, take half his money, and turn back into a guy. It's sort of a two-person pyramid scheme.
That's marriage, all right.
That is so unbelievably manipulative.
Come on. You never went on a date with a guy just because you were hungry?
Well, I thought I might like him on a full stomach.
Well,
good reasoning.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you don't owe him anything.
We'll look for a celebrity ape fight for an upcoming episode, Rochi. I don't think that ever got broadcast in this universe. We've got to wait until the year 3005 for a celebrity ape fight to actually be released.
So, Bender does end up getting married to Calculon, but he realizes he can't go through with it. So he has to come up with like a abort plan, because it's like you mentioned, his time is running out. If he doesn't switch back, it's going to be permanent for whatever reason. So
because reasons, we can look this over. This is an entertaining enough episode to say, fuck it, because reasons. We have a clock to turn you back. So the plan they come up with, because Bender as a fembot now actually has empathy for other people rather than just stealing from a blind man or a woman or from a boy's bar mitzvah. And that's just the episodes we've covered so far. We'll
So
see how many more people
he
steals from.
He can't even go through with breaking Calculon's heart. So he stages this huge, elaborate, a play because Calculon's the greatest actor of all time. So he has to do something really elaborate to convince Calculon that this, fake death is real.
And since Calculon has been acting on all my circuits for all the years, they decide that's the easiest way to break his heart. And they have several beats. I have each of them clipped individually of the beats they go through to get Calculon his melodramatic breakup without breaking his heart.
Is there a doctor
I came as soon as I could. It appears to be a case of African hydraulic fever.
Dear God, the very illness my TV character caught in season 2 when I was holding out for more money. It's often fatal.
I love that gag that they had to put Calculon in some type of stasis so we can keep doing the show, but we really want him back. All in the Family, that actually happened. Archie Bunker, Carol O'Connor, they had, I think, 2 episodes without him as he was bargaining for more money. And they're like, we'll fucking do it. We will do Archie Bunker's show without him. But it doesn't end there. You think that would just be enough. But no, there needs to be more melodrama to make sure that we break up with him without breaking his heart.
But Smoochy Pups, I thought one could only catch hydraulic fever deep in the diamond mines of the Congo.
Coilette, you she-devil! You really thought you could steal those diamonds from me and Congo Jack?
Those gems belong to the natives.
There's Leela's part. Hiya!
And I really love that Leela is not an actor. That it's so fun when an actor is supposed to do things that sound so natural. When you're told, "Go be wooden," it's such.
You she-devil! You really thought you could steal those diamonds from me and Congo Jack?
It's just so fun to, for once. Oh, I'm supposed to do it, shitty. So Congo Jack then makes an appearance to end this attack on Coilette.
Congo Jack!
Another shocking twist.
Yes, and I have a message for you from Colonel Matumbe. He says this is from Congo Jack.
No! And
Even getting in his catchphrase from All My Circuits. No!
And then poor Coilette dies, allegedly.
And Bender is back to Bender by the end again, claiming to have learned no lesson.
Yeah, emotions are dumb and should be hated.
Good night forever, my turtle dove.
Good night, Calculon.
What did you say?
I said you two don't dress trampy enough. I still got it.
Which was something that Coilette kept saying over and over again, that you need more lipstick. You aren't trampy enough. Even as a woman, he was still Bender. And that's why you aren't getting more guys, because you're not trampy enough.
I mean, it helps a little bit.
Yeah, you want to be a little bit of a hoe. It depends on who you're going for. Sometimes you want to be a big hoe. Depends what you are going for. So that was, as we said, very much like one of the Kubert episodes. Just stop being about the person we thought it was about, and it turned into a full-on Bender episode because Bender is just fun. Bender is
Bender's
great, as he is sure to remind us over and over again. That's actually a character on a sitcom I was writing, like the Kramer character. It was like, all right, this show has some heart with our 2 leads here, with our couple. And the Kramer character, the boss of our male lead, he can take over the show. And yeah, when I got in writing meetings about it, we just started going down the rabbit hole of what this Kramer character, what this Bender character could be doing wacky this week. It's like, no, guys, we're trying to make this show have heart. Let's turn this into the wacky boss show around season 4 or 5 when we've exhausted some of
you
our.
have to get wacky.
which is what I forget the exact Hollywood writer that said it. After 5 seasons, you got to get wacky or get boring. It's at some point you got to change. Or All My Circuits. You could just be a melodrama, like All My Circuits and All My Children.
And just be completely insane all the time.
So our final episode, to me, this is a top 10. After watching this, Lethal Inspection, it features very little Fry. Leela has a small little B plot, but Hermes and Bender going on an adventure. This, especially the third act, the third act is just so well executed. With they like to put in some chase scenes, some action scenes. I really enjoyed the action in this one and the stakes that were present. But before we get to the fantastic third act, let's get to the build up. Well, actually, this isn't much of a build up for what it pays off for. They have a fun little opening where they are recreating the Sith Wars. So we get a little bit of Fry and everyone else. I love this.
Like a Civil War reenactment, but with the Sith.
Yeah, the Sith apparently did have a big battle on Earth at some point. I love this ship of all the different Darths. For those Stern fans, unfortunately, Darth Nihilus did not make it. Are you familiar with Darth Nihilus, Annie?
No.
Darth Nihilus, I think he was in the comic books or the books. He's from the extended Star Wars universe, and there was a cosplayer that the Stern Show goofed on for like 2-3 months straight. That they got a interview with Darth Nihilus behind his mask.
That sounds wonderful.
We've got our own group of Darths landing in this. I love the gag here that there is such a fantastic spaceship behind this cardboard facade pretending to be a TIE fighter. Looks just like the Panda Express ship.
I am Darth Destroyer.
Darth Destroyer? That's the stupidest name I've ever heard. Let's hear the rest.
Darth Atrocious.
Darth Sploder.
Darth Erderer.
Darth Ithead.
And Hermes, you pulled the clip of him doing what he does best. He is the bureaucrat here for this war. He is, I don't know why they had the bureaucrat there on the war field, but that's the part he is reenacting here in your clip.
Don't fire till you see the greens of their eyes. It saves on bullets. That's 3 dead. Uh-oh, let's pick up the pace, people. At this point in the actual war, the death toll was 98 million. And the winner of the war is... let me just cross-check my tabulation here. Factor in the corsages for the widows. Okay. The winners at a net cost of only $12 per life cut tragically short. Our Sith overlords.
The winner was based on how much each murder cost. It wasn't the total murders. It was how efficiently you use your weaponry.
Well, yeah, it's a war of not attrition, but a war of finances. The Sith. I mean, it's all about money, clearly.
Oh, and I do love Andor when they get into the bureaucratic stuff. You've got the action scenes with Cassian Andor himself, which are very fun. But getting to the bureaucratic nonsense, I enjoyed that just as much, sometimes more, when they broke away from the inner office workings of the Empire. I was like, no, I wasn't done with that yet. Don't go back to Cassian and his exciting adventure.
I watched the first 2 episodes of that, and so far it's been really good. So yeah, I know what you mean.
People hold that one up to a pedestal, as well they should. And Andor is so good. I cannot wait for season 2. That's one that I don't have bad things to say about, unlike the book of Boba Fett. Oh boy, I know a lot of people say Mandalorian season 3 is the worst thing to happen. I I think that the Book of Boba Fett edges it out in nonsensory.
Yeah, it's so bad it got taken over by a better character. So yeah. Anyway, this isn't the Star Wars show.
We'll get to that at some point. This is the episode where we're talking about
You're
Bender.
not-
We're getting introduced to the major plot of this episode. That happens to me so often when a little glimmer of Star Wars or Star Trek happens, and it's like, ooh, let's go over there. But no, let's go over here. We get what this episode is all about with Inspector 5. Bender, big fan of Inspector 5 at this point.
Not perfect.
Am so.
Are not.
Is too.
Says who?
Says the only human whose opinion I even remotely respect. Inspector 5. The best inspector a kid could want. The day I was built, he looked me over, probably with tears of pride in his eyes, and proclaimed to all the world, by means of this scrap of paper, that I was perfect and infallible in every way.
Hey, Mr. Perfect, you wet the chair.
So something is not perfect. Inspector 5's work is now under scrutiny. Looks like your clip explains this pretty well. Bender isn't immortal.
Yeah, the professor brings him into the lab to see why he was springing an oil leak, and it turns out he wasn't built with a backup unit. So Bender is all upset about not being immortal. You have it in the right window?
Oh, no, I don't. I do not have it in the right window. Now it's in the right window.
All right.
I'm gonna die.
How much time does he have left, Professor? Between a minute and a billion years. Well, at least you can plan accordingly.
I like that. Fry's just trying to make him feel better, but if he could live a billion years, which we see that he has no problem. His lifespan, despite it being called into question in this episode, he lives through time travel. He lives through explosions, battles, series reboots.
He might be a million years old, as many times as he's traveled through the past and just waited in the basement to come back to the time he's supposed to be in. So now,
unfortunate. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Bender now has a vendetta against Inspector 5 for letting him go through life without a backup unit, for being flawed. So they're trying to figure out who this Inspector 5 is. Leela puts them on the right path here.
I hunt down Inspector 5 and beat an explanation out of him.
I'm all for a good beating, but you'll never find him. Product inspectors are bureaucrats, faceless bean counters who blend into the woodwork.
I beg to differ. Stinking bureaucrats. I hate them.
So for the audio listener, Hermes is wearing his normal outfit, but it is like MS Paint where you use the little like color picker and dropped. So his entire outfit is actually perfectly matching the wall behind him, and you can only see the outlines on his shirt. So the gag is he literally is blending into the wall.
Just going right for it on the nose. The obvious jokes are just fun sometimes. So when you do the obvious jokes too much, you see like the Brickleberry, it stops being fun. You need to mix it up there, Roger Black. You got that same show sold 3 different times, so very well done, Yucko the Clown. I guess
I'm not familiar. No.
Yucko the Clown was a regular on the Stern Show. Roger Black is his real name. He and his creative partner sold Brickleberry to Comedy Central. Then Paradise PD is the exact same show. Sold it to Netflix. There's another one that's like fantasy based, but still the exact same show that they sold to Netflix again. So that's just amazing to me.
Hustle.
It's not good. It passes the time. They
it's
have
an effective hustle. It worked.
An effective. Good hustle. Yes, I mean the quality of the TV show. It's a good hustle, but not a good show. They have three types of jokes. As I said, the simple joke is all they have. Back to this show though, not on to Yucko the Clown's shows, which are all the same show. Matt Groening, you can't accuse this of being the same thing as Disenchanted or The Simpsons. It's got his style of humor, but very different in what they do. Unlike our buddy Roger Black, but applause to him anyways. So we're going back to the central bureaucracy, this time to find Inspector Five. And we get a fun little callback here to a character we met last time.
Yes, I'd like to request a death certificate.
Sorry, that's building C.
The guy waiting for his birth certificate last time, several years ago, got back into the line waiting for his death certificate because he knew it was coming.
The next person in line, they're just in the bureaucracy hypnosis where no one is human, just steps over his body. He's ready for his next thing. And the guy behind him has
Hitler?
a Charlie Chaplin Hitler mustache. There's only two people I know with that mustache. For some reason, they gave him a Charlie Chaplin Hitler mustache. The third guy, well, now the second guy in line, now that doesn't need to wait for him to get his death certificate. Hopefully someone else helps him out there.
So while Hermes is away, he assigns Leela to do the bureaucracy around the office. So that was harder for me to say. Sorry.
Bureaucracy. Yeah, trying to take bureaucracy in another form that really fucks up what you're attempting to say. So Leela, she thinks she's a natural at this.
Shall we review alphabetical order? A, B, C.
Get out of my office. Okay, just file it alphabetically. A, B, C, D. Oh.
Okay.
This requires a little.
For the super
Futurama
nerds,
nerds.
the super nerds are immediately able to decipher this. There are, I think, 3 alien languages because the first one, the nerds solved in like no time whatsoever. So they came up with different ciphers. The nerds, even on the next level of us, can decipher this no problem. The smiley face, I'm going to say, is either an A or an E, seeing as many times as we see it there, unless it's not a 1-for-1. Like the new cipher isn't just a 1-for-1 as the original one.
Right. It like uses like shortened words and phrases.
So Leela attempting to figure out what to do. She knows A through Z, but what to do with this one.
D. Oh, well, this requires a little extra thought.
That's where it goes. It doesn't go through A through Z, so that's an acceptable place.
So she just starts shoving the papers behind plants. I think that's just a funny. She doesn't know what to do.
And we don't really see Leela again until the end, when we see what she's been doing for a week while Hermes is away. As the rest of this episode, we go on an adventure with Hermes and Bender. Here he is. He's got a cubicle that he keeps at the central bureaucracy, trying to find Inspector Five.
Locate Inspector Five while I slip into my ass-kicking feet.
Sweet file not found of Puget Sound. His record's been blanked.
Aw, man. How am I gonna find some anonymous guy I don't know anything about?
I recommend the men's room at the TWA terminal.
1970s Hollywood Square joke with Jim J. Bullock in the middle. Whoopi Goldberg at this time would have been the middle square, but they're going. Actually, no, she wasn't even the middle square at this point. I think that was old news by the time this was around. Going for the Jim J. Bullock, and it's funny how all the gay men back then were out, but not out to the public. They'd still do so many things talking about, well, if I find a wife one of these days, and the general public, oh, okay, good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're still looking. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. That's nice. Good to know about you, that you're just a weird guy.
Shall we
I already played that one.
Unfortunately, he's not able to find a trace of Inspector Five because he wiped their files. So they're going to look for the physical files. And Hermes comes across the physical filing cabinet of all the inspectors. I think they even start getting letters, and they come in to see the filing cabinet, and it's way too cinematic. But that's kind of the gag.
What's the title of that clip? Oh, there it is. Nope, not the tiny filing cabinet.
Did I not pull it? Cinematic files are way too cool.
Cinematic files are way too cool. There it is.
It's on.
So Hermes knocks out Bender and digs through the files, and unfortunately, it seems like Inspector 5's file isn't there either. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, but 5 is nowhere to be found. So they kind of give up on it. Hermes convinces Bender, well, we might as well just go back to the office. And Bender, well, as we alluded to in episode 1 we were talking about, Bender goes and tries to kill himself. So he calls for customer support.
Yeah, I have 2 clips on that one. Him, I love Hermes' reaction to what Bender is going through here.
So I'm doomed to die, and I'll never even get to punch whoever's responsible? What's the point?
Bender, no! Suicide isn't necessarily the answer.
Not necessarily. It still might be. Let's talk this through.
Stay right there.
So Bender goes into a phone booth instead of the suicide booth that he's attempted to go in a few times and been thwarted. How he met Fry. He calls up, tech support for this gag. Mom is answering the phones, and she will let them. She's going to take care of it, dearie.
Stay right there, dearie. I'll have tech support take care of you.
Well, things are starting to look up.
Look up!
So at this point, we have. I love this group of robots hunting them down.
We're gonna get.
They must not have had a fire gag. But these robots very enthusiastic to do their execution job.
Anytime anyone gives them even the slightest hint to go ahead, they jump on it.
As seen here.
We're gonna get fired. Someone said fire!
And what we saw there was the beginning of some of the fun action sequences. Bender and Hermes are limboing underneath the train tunnel, but these giant robots cannot get under them, both exploding. The one just kills the other one, and then they explode. So we are in Mexico. There are some fun gags. It sounds like they hit Slowpoke Rodriguez with a rock as they are. Bender is proving that he is just a stone's throw from Tijuana. So they find
to get into Tijuana, though, they had to, get the paperwork, and of course Hermes is always ready for it. So there is a clip called the tiny filing cabinet is funny. Earlier in the episode, before he leaves, somebody makes a joke at his expense, which does come in handy later.
The tiny filing cabinet. I just saw that one and I just messed it up.
That's okay. We can just move on past it. So after they get into Tijuana, they find the robot factory that Bender. Oh, no, here it is.
Bureaucrats, faceless bean counters who blend into the
woodwork.
I pulled my clips wrong. This is my fault. Sorry, everyone.
I also,
but anyways,
I also just mixed them up and attempting to bring it over. I just mixed up her links. So episode 3 still working out the kinks. That's why we chose something we like. So at least we can fall back on a show that we really enjoy when these little foibles happen as such.
It's all just tech issues. It's not like, whatever. It's not a big deal. So they finally find the traces of Inspector 5 in Mexico.
And they are able to go to his former hacienda.
He's obviously long gone.
Oh, yeah? Well, maybe this is him in a costume. I'm gonna squeeze you out of there like Tijuana toothpaste. Whoa!
And we get another little view of that of that lovable little lizard that's now living. Bender accusing him of being Inspector 5, but eventually they are hunted down by those death robots once again. Hermes, thinking quick, is able to hack the computer and make them think that Bender is dead.
Bender terminated.
Bender saved.
Ceasefire. Mom called off the attack, although I don't see howitzer.
Someone said howitzer!
Yeah!
Howitzer does it, and that was Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar was one, David Herman is the other. It's such great voice work by both of those as we get the big climax to Hermes coming out of this wrecked house. But first, our buddy the lizard.
That was a power limbo
did
stand.
it! And he's not looking back at that cool explosion! He's a hero!
So we have the day one with Bender brought this on himself, this death squad that he thought would take care of his problem. And yeah, they were looking to take care of his problem.
Right before the house exploded and Hermes was able to hack the terminal, he convinces Bender to give up and kind of accept his mortality. Hermes is a good friend and he's also good at his job, so he's able to talk Bender into kind of just living for the moment.
Okay, Bender, you're mortal. And okay, Inspector 5 screwed up. But that just makes the time you have left all the more precious. Do you really want to waste the rest of your life in a bitter homicidal rage? Yeah, there, man. It's gonna be okay. You are Bender, which is something Inspector 5 will never be.
You know what? You're right. He was just a stupid bureaucrat. A stupid paper-pushing bureaucrat. A stupid eye-dotting, chair-squashing... Oh, no offense, Hermes. You're not like that. I mean, you're exactly like that, but you're okay.
At least Bender was honest. Yeah, at least you're exactly like that. You know, but I still appreciate you.
I still like you very much.
Product inspectors are.
Nope. I thought one of those were going to be the tiny filing cabinet.
It's the one right. You had it in the last tab.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Will you be taking your portable filing cabinet?
None of your beeswax.
Right here on the door, you can see that it says Hermes' door opens upwards, which is a good indicator to Fry, who we know has problems getting to the door.
It's been established he does not do well with the cool Star Trek doors.
Here are our passports, visas, and Homeland Security permission slips, notarized and starched.
Okay. I also would have accepted a bribe.
I eventually figured out my fuck up on that. I found it at some point.
It's okay. I also I labeled my notes differently than I labeled the clips themselves. So in the future, I'll also be better at that.
In the Futurama?
Well, if we do more Futurama episodes, yes, but we got to figure out another thing to do.
Yeah, we will be mixing it up. I have a few ideas for next week. I've got 2 more clips from this episode. They get back from the trip to Tijuana, and we see what condition Leela has the factory, has the job site at this point.
What's happening? The phone's been disconnected, the ship's repossessed, and Zoidberg's getting overcooked.
This place never changes.
Leela, what in the name of Jah happened?
Too much papers! Not enough hiding plants!
It's all right. This place just needs a 1-hour bureaucratizing.
You make it look so easy.
I've smoked a lot of paperwork in my day.
Hey-o. Little walking around. I like pot.
And I don't know if we have the same last clip, but after
I
this...
imagine so, yeah. When we talked about doing an episode, you mentioned this as being one of the major emotional episodes. And what's funny is the emotion, it lasts for all of my clip lasts 1 minute and 3 seconds. This is going to not strike the video, but make it non-monetized for the day when I do get monetized. This song choice that they chose, very good choice in score to help get you just lost in this emotional moment. And
Mine is 105, so it might just be just a tad bit longer. Hermes sends everybody out of the room because they want to go do, I don't know, whatever activity they decide to do. And Hermes stays around just because he has one last thing to dispose of.
And this reframes the episode, seeing this last thing he must dispose of.
And you can see Inspector Five's file burning away to reveal that it's Hermes.
Little cute, adorable Bender there with this very emotional music that sounds like a mother and a child singing, looking at the recycling bin, ready to throw away this adorable little bending unit that has his bottle of beer.
That's cute.
The Cerveza bottle.
Hermes was looking at cute little Bender, and he can't bring himself to dispose of such a cute little thing, so he overrides it, and he gives him that card that approved by number 5, and sends him along the way. But Hermes can't live with it, so he resigns.
He's done that day, and since they're in Tijuana, they have a donkey to kick him off the premises.
And it reveals that the house that they were in that got blown up was Hermes.
As established with Jim J. Bullock earlier, they needed to take a scan of his face. He did not hack it at all. He just took the scan.
I like that even though his hair has kind of been less upkept as he's been older, when we see him younger, when he was still working in the factory for Mom, which is funny that him and Farnsworth also, they both did that. So
It's a big corporation. As we saw, he just got in and out. Didn't make it beyond just a robot inspector. He went into the central bureaucracy elsewhere, where, yeah, the professor, quite a rich history in Mom's friendly robot factory.
I'm wondering if the reason Dwight wears his hair the way he does is because that's how Hermes used to wear his hair when he was younger, and he wants to be like his father. As we can see Dwight try to emulate so often that he wants to be like Hermes without being exactly like Hermes. We saw a scene where Hermes ruffles his hair and like messes it up, and then Dwight deliberately pulls back out his hair and redreads his hair to be just like his dad's was. At least that's what I would like to think.
That's something I'm sure the writers are very thoughtful that was included in there for eagle-eyed viewers as such. As we mentioned, the alien cipher language that you and I, at least I'm not on that. Did you decode any of the alien languages in Futurama?
No, I just went to Reddit and was like, hey, what does this one say in this episode? You know, there's way nerdier people that have way more time than me.
Yeah, me neither. And as much as I got into it, yeah, the alien ciphers, I'm missing out on those extra little gags. Matt Groening loves to add those little sign gags. Since the first season of The Simpsons, those have been there, and he brought it over to Futurama, and then made it more complicated. You've got to do a little work to get these extra gags that we put in here.
It's kind of a reward to the fans that, really want to get more out of the show. There is. If you want, there is.
And I can't say enough about that final segment, turning this episode into one of the memorable, emotional episodes through just 1 minute of reframing what this episode was about, and an excellent choice of song to pull on your heartstrings. And sometimes I will call scores manipulative. You're trying to manipulate my emotions, and that's kind of the point of the score. And I guess when I say that in a negative way, as I do very often, we're definitely going to get to some Quantum Leap episodes. The way they do it, I hate the way that they do their score. When we get to the new Quantum Leap episodes, might be next week, might be a few weeks, but we're good. I think 3. We'll do 3 of those. Not in one.
Awesome.
I have a lot to say about them. We're only going to get to one at a time of Quantum Leap when we dive into those, but just the complete opposite in here of a very good score, which I felt wasn't manipulative, but did pull on the heartstrings properly. Whereas when they do it, I'm like, this feels unearned and manipulative. And why'd you choose this score? Why'd you choose that score? Halo is one you mentioned that we could watch that you have a lot to say about, and kind of the opposite with me. I adore the Quantum Leap property. The original series was fantastic, and what they've done with this new one is just appalling that they did this to it, and so many choices that are just absolutely wrong. And you have said the same thing about the Halo series, whereas I will not come into it with just a minimal knowledge of the Halo series. There's a lot that they did to you as a Halo fan in the Halo TV show that got you to cross your arms and turn your back on it.
There's one saving grace that always just makes me like, whew, it's okay. The Halo TV show isn't canon.
It's officially not canon.
It's officially not canon. So it doesn't matter how bad it is. It doesn't ruin the rest of Halo, which is really good.
I feel the same way of the JJ Star Trek. This is the Kelvin timeline. Everything that they do at Bad Robot Productions is the Kelvin timeline. It's not the timeline that I like and enjoy and absolutely love. This is Kelvin. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. This is not the timeline that matters. The timeline that matters stopped being a thing with, I guess, Voyager or one of the lesser. Voyager was a lesser one. The one with Scott Bakula, who actually was in the original Quantum Leap. That was a lesser one, but still part of the proper timeline. But we are getting off on other nerd subjects, and Rochi,
lots of teases for what we could do.
Rochi has a suggestion for a React episode, which we will check out at some point. I haven't watched that clip he sent us yet, or the full episode Rochi sent us yet, but I've got it earmarked. It's like, all right, this is a React episode. This is something to do in real time to give our opinion of, as well as what else was I thinking of? Oh yes, eventually the Star Treks. I do want you to introduce you to the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
I'm definitely excited for those ones. Those are ones I really look forward to.
I think we have to pick and choose from each season. Like if we were to do all of season 3, even if we're doing 2 episodes at a time, that's 12 weeks. So maybe a pick and choose from each season. So we're not in there forever and ever, and unless they take off. If the Star Trek nerds enjoy our analysis and give me many views and subscriptions, then we can stay in there. And that does lead into a shill segment to ask you to give me likes and subscriptions, and Annie as well over on What Is This Game. We do that every other Wednesday. Dead Space, I really enjoyed. Can't wait to talk about it this upcoming week. And some more coming up. The Quarry after that. XCOM Enemy Unknown is actually new to me. I love XCOM 2. Wasted a year of my life to XCOM 2. So the predecessor, XCOM Enemy Unknown, will be another fun one for me. And I'm enjoying being your co-host for the gaming show, because I stopped being like a major gamer around the... I guess I've never really been a major gamer. I've been a dabbler, if you will. I've dabbled in gaming. So really enjoy picking up on these classics that I have missed over the year. So that is Annie's show that I co-host with her. I will be back on Monday at 11:30 a.m. on this channel. Dillon from somewhere. I don't think I'm done with Corey Feldman. I found 2 more videos in the Corey Feldman world. I think either Monday or Tuesday. Might as well be Monday.
He's fascinating.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick in the Corey Feldman world for a little longer with at least 1 more Monday episode, maybe 2 more, as I seek out more co-host audition contenders. Corey Feldman, I don't think you'd like the jokes I make, but I'd love to be your co-host, Corey Feldman, as I am with Annie over on What Is This Game. We will be back next Friday at midnight. I'll figure out what we're watching. Something nerdy, possibly the new Quantum Leap. Do you have the Peacock?
The teaser. No, I can get whatever. Rochi and I can figure out how to get something.
Excellent. Rochi being a big help. He is back just in time for his kudos. Thank you for tuning into this one, and we will do a reaction to your monkey show at some point. I believe that was the name of it, the Monkey Kung Fu. That's brand new to Annie and I. We'll do a
Very
reaction
exciting.
to that one. Maybe I'll just roll the dice. I'll put all these down on some cards. I'll let Annie know by tomorrow evening which one we're doing. Definitely all those in the works that we'll do 3 straight weeks of either a Quantum Leap, a Halo, Star Trek Next Generation. We're kicking off another trifecta of episodes in nerd culture, so stay tuned for that as we go away for Futurama for a little bit. Maybe we will come back to it. Anything else that you would like to plug, Annie?
No, I don't have anything else to plug. You pretty much covered it all. Thank you for having me. I really like doing this like 3 episodes kind of format, so I really look forward to whatever we touch on next.
Yeah, I think this felt like the proper amount for the attempted 60 to 90 minutes that we're doing. If we maybe longer, but yeah, 60 to 90 minutes with me, someone who you've never heard of, is long enough for someone trying to get views. Yeah, we can't do more than one Quantum Leap at a time. I have so much to say. We will be doing one of those, like the hour-long episodes. We'll have to experiment if 2 is enough or too much with hour-long episodes. But for certain, I can't do 2 Quantum Leap episodes. I have so much to dissect of that show. And Halo, that's an Apple TV, right?
No, it's on Paramount.
Oh, Paramount. That one I do need to re-up. I've got to re-up that one to see the new Beavis and Buttheads. I'm a huge fan of Beavis and Butthead still to this day. If we were to go over that one, it would be like this one, Futurama, where I'm just gushing the whole time, versus some of the ones we've got in the works, which we will be shitting on. And a friend suggested Lost. Eventually, I will do a Lost review show starring Mr. Winston. That's his show.
All right.
When we get to the Lost show, I can't operate the board and Mr. Winston at the same time, so that's one thing that's putting me off. That's definitely in the works. Rochi was a fan of Halo, so maybe being that it's not canon and not relating it to the.
Think we lost Dylan. If that's the case, then thank you for joining us, everyone. You can feel free to tune out. If it's me that is disconnected, then I apologize. Thank you. Oh, it's so it is Dylan that left? That's very unfortunate. He looks like he's frozen. All right, it's my show now. Hey everyone. Welcome to my show. I'm gonna leave because this isn't my show.
my power just flickered on and off as I was attempting to sign off. And so now I'm signing off.
I tried to sign off, and then I realized I didn't have any of the buttons, so I just took myself out and thanked everyone for joining us.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us. If I would have rambled just a moment less, I would have been out of here before my power flickered on and off. First time that's happened to me since streaming, and my phone was being a pain in the fucking ass with letting me in here. Thank you all for joining us. I'm officially signing off. Feel free to go away.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. It's fun being with friends. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Places all. All join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LS, MFT. Elementary corners like swinging on a gate. To right to your honey with the right left date. Grand right and left around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girls. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LS, MFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.